At 3:30, we got our second to last 3:30 game. We got, honestly, one of the more intriguing matchups of the day between two unranked football teams. We got Minnesota, which is 3-0, and looks like the best team in the West. Honestly, Golden Gophers look amazing on defense. They look really good on offense. Traveling to Michigan State, which is 2-1, coming off a heartbreaker against Washington, but still, this was a Michigan State team that I believe was top 15 last week. Minnesota favored by 3 points in the Big Ten Network. Tanner, I hardly know her, Morgan, has gone 38-53 through his first 3 games, thrown for 618 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Mohamed Ibrahim on the ground has reminded college football who he is. He's had 67 carries for 464 yards and 7 touchdowns. Chris Ottman-Bell has had 11 catches for 214 yards and a touchdown. Now, I do believe Ottman-Bell has been hurt, and he probably is out for the season. And that could be a huge loss for Minnesota going forward, especially heading into probably their biggest game of the year. Peyton Thorne for Michigan State has gone 60-94, thrown for 768 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Jalen Berger, I hardly know her, has had 46 carries for 254 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Ken Coleman has had 15 catches for 236 yards and 3 touchdowns. Michigan State leads the series all-time 30-17. Last 5 games have come from Michigan State, ranging from 2010 to 2017. Last Minnesota victory was in 2009, so it's been 13 years since the Golden Gophers have beat Michigan State. It's been 5 games since the Golden Gophers beat the Spartans. This is a Minnesota team that wants to win this one. This is a Minnesota team that looks like they could be competing for a playoff spot this year. I know. That's a lot for this Minnesota team. But they're not on the strongest side this year. And honestly, who's going to compete with them? Nebraska and Northwestern look downright incompetent on both sides of the football. Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa, you could write a comedy about their offenses. They are that bad. They are downright atrocious. Purdue has shown some skill and has shown some ability to win football games, but has floundered down the stretch in both their games against Penn State and Syracuse and failed to get victories. Now, Purdue's a team that would love to beat you late in the season. If you're Minnesota's team, you got to look out for it. But I think Minnesota's a better football team than them. Illinois is an interesting football team, but I still think it's a couple years away from competing for Big Ten West title for real. Minnesota has by far looked like the best team in the Big Ten West. Michigan State, on the other hand, coming off a heartbreaking loss to Washington and is desperately trying to get back in the national spotlight. Right now, they're the 4th best. They're considered the 4th best team in the Big Ten West and Big Ten East, and you got to think that's killing them, right? Not to mention that obviously I think they're worse than Ohio State, but it's got to kill them to think that people think they're that much worse than Michigan and that much worse than Penn State. That's got to be killing Spartan fans out there just because you lost to a good Washington team. I think this game's going to be really close. If I'm going to be honest, I think the spread's set right. I do think Minnesota wins this game. I think they win it by more than 3. But I do think Michigan State and Minnesota play an absolute heck of a game in 3:30.